Away for the residents of a dilapidated housing complex. Tonight, the city of Atlanta approving $1.5 million to start relocating the 200 families. We've been tracking the deplorable conditions at the Forest Cove apartments in the Thomasville Heights neighborhood for at least a decade. CBS 46's Patrick Quinn joins us live at City Hall tonight. And Patrick, this move has been a long time coming.
It really has, and we actually went back in the archives. We have been covering issues at the Forest Cove Apartments since 2009. I'm sure many of you at home, right when we said the word Forest Cove, you knew of the conditions. They're hard on the eyes, but they've also been the site of brawls and gun violence, though tonight, finally, the city is stepping in.
Why we got to suffer like this? It's sad.
Miss Peaches has lived through it all. Decades of deplorable conditions.
This is our safety.
Wobbly railings in 2012. Then there's the crime. We covered a kid shot in 2009 and a teen found dead from gunshots just last week. Residents have been rallying for change for years, like here in 2018.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now!
Those cries went unanswered. Maybe that's why Miss Peaches is skeptical. The city's push to move all the residents is real.
It's hurtful. They'll tell us one day that we're going to get out of here, and then we turn around. It's a totally different thing. Come on, y'all.
Mayor Dickens and the Atlanta City Council say they're committed, greenlighting a $1.5 million down payment to relocate these 200 plus families to safer housing.
For so long, we have failed the people of Forest Cove. The city of Atlanta has failed them. The federal government has failed them. And so this is a chance to make atonement.
Ordinance sponsor Jason Winston said American CARES Act funding from the feds will cover the costs. Millennium, the property owner, will have to reimburse the city with the goal of moving residents back in after the complex is renovated. Gino Turner is a housing advocate and has been working with residents at Forest Cove for 7 years.
We're at this place of distrust. It's a downfall.
Turner and the residents hope relocation becomes a reality, and this hole in the Southeast Atlanta community is soon healed.
Just people having the opportunity to say, I got my keys, that'll mean a world of difference.
So when does the moving start? Well, Councilmember Winston, he said ASAP. Right now they have 180 units secured. They still need roughly 40 more to start moving residents in. They also said that the city is working to ensure that those Section 8 vouchers that allow the residents to stay at Forest Cove in the first place will be portable should they need to move back into the complex once it's renovated. Live tonight in Atlanta, Patrick Quinn, CBS 46 News.
Patrick, thank you.
We say Four Seasons in Atlanta, we're not talking about the hotel chain. It's a notorious community that's marking the end of an era and longtime residents reflecting with mixed emotions.
It's been in the headlines, tragedy after tragedy, at the center of music videos.
Overnight, it took some time.
Four Seasons has gone through seasons of neglect and struggle.
So many deaths and so much crime and shooting.
Its current condition, far from what was advertised in the 1970s. Four Seasons on the brochures back then, now called Forest Cove. Constructed as a low-income community during the height of urban renewal. And now soon to join the long list of notorious housing communities demolished. Forest Cove's decades of struggle chronicled over the years.
Our kids is feared for their life. We're not the cause. Y'all treating us like criminals, and we're not the criminals.
It was originally 100 acres of prison land before it was developed into housing units, not too far from the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. Some residents say it's become a pipeline for just that, prison.
That's why there's mixed emotions. Because they're afraid of the law.
Police say it's become a hotspot for crime. Despite its troubles, some residents feel a strong connection to the neighborhood. Now, more than 200 families need to find new homes.
There's a lot of issues, but it's a pretty tight-knit community. It's danger everywhere. It probably be a little bit more higher over here.
The planned demolition has had a ripple effect. The nearby elementary school, Thomasville Heights, is closing this fall. The city of Atlanta promises to relocate residents to affordable housing. The move-out process has already started for some families. Still, the community is concerned.
A lot of these people don't end up homeless and finding it hard to get to work and from work and things like that.
Now, the city of Atlanta is helping families relocate to 3 other properties, select their unit, and get assistance squared away before they move in. And the biggest concern is the hope for that promise to be kept during lease renewals.
Residents of a Southeast Atlanta apartment complex are calling the living conditions unacceptable. The city has issued more than 100 code violations against the owner of Forest Cove Apartments. And tonight, News Edge reporter Rob DiRienzo is pressing the property owner for answers.
Throughout this apartment complex in southeast Atlanta, police tell us they found more than 150 code violations ranging from heaps of trash to broken windows to improperly boarded vacant units. The neighbors are telling us they're simply fed up.
It's a shame the way we living out here. We really need help. We really do.
Residents of Forest Cove Apartments say they're not surprised to hear that Atlanta police slapped the owners of the complex with more than 150 violations on Friday.
It's unacceptable. Well, you want your kid living something like this?
This resident, who just wanted us to call him Avery, took us around the complex to show us firsthand. He showed us the mold, the dilapidation, and dangerous conditions all over the place. Just within the last few days, he said a baby fell through a floor and had to be rescued.
I like seeing bitch apartments up, you know, where we can live better, you know. This right here ain't gonna get it.
The building collapsing, you got holes through the roof, you got water dripping when it rains through the roof. For the folks who still staying out here, they got holes in their floor. Like you can see through the basement, you got rat.
Fox 5 covered the same issues at this same complex last year, but the company that was managing it, called Millennia, now owns it. We asked them for answers. They said, quote, "After decades of decline, we acknowledge that the apartment development needs a substantial rehabilitation to resolve major deficiencies and bring this housing up to safe and quality standards, and this is our goal." They said they're working to relocate the residents in each of the 396 units with plans of completely rehabbing the whole complex.
If you growing up as a trash hood, what you think your mindset gonna be on? Your mindset gonna be on better, but another day when you try to do better, you still come to this.
The residents we're hearing from say that Millennia has not reached out to them regarding relocation. The city of Atlanta says they're on a mission to find more properties like this and issue violations and hold the property owners accountable. In southeast Atlanta, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
An apartment complex in Atlanta say they are tired of being ignored. They say trash is piling up outside and units are falling apart inside, and rats and roaches are now taking over. Natisha Land spoke with one resident who reached out to 11 Alive for help, and she's concerned about her kids' health and safety.
It's deplorable. Like, it's horrible. Like, nobody shouldn't have to live like that, and it's just getting worse and worse.
Larisha Shaw has lived at the Forest Cove Apartments in southwest Atlanta since March. She moved in with her kids, she says, with promises of renovations and upgrades to the apartment complex. Nearly a year later, she says that promise has been broken as conditions have deteriorated. The complex is Section 8 project-based housing. It is owned by Global Ministries and managed by Ohio-based the Millennia Company. Late last week, Shaw and other tenants wrote a demand letter to the management company, local leaders, and Georgia senators. So far, they have not heard back.
You can't even cook or have a hot meal, you know, because the rats are, you know, nesting in the stove. And when you turn on the stove, you smell the rat. You smell the rat pee and the rat feces.
Trash is also piling up outside. Unfortunately, the filthy conditions are not new. In 2018, Atlanta police say they responded to 197 code enforcement violations over 4 months. They ranged from interior and exterior structural damage to junk, trash, and debris. The number of violations is now so high, the solicitor's office is investigating. Atlanta City Council member Carla Smith, who represents the district, says she is aware of the long issues with the complex and has taken them to Housing Code Court many times. But the property is out of the purview of the mayor and city council.
It's sad when a person would rather be homeless on the street and stand in a shelter than to be living in something like that. And I feel like that's going to be my next step for me and my kids.
All right, so in a statement to 11 Alive, the Millennia Company says that it is working to purchase and rehabilitate that property. As far as all the trash around, they say that dumpsters at the complex are emptied at least 4 times a week.
An Atlanta school with dozens of teachers losing their jobs is part of the fallout. Parents are frustrated. They're feeling like they were left out of the process. Joe Ripley is here, and Joe, this is all connected to the Forest Cove apartment complex. which was condemned last year.
You're right, Jeff. An Atlanta judge condemned the Forest Cove apartments in December, forcing families out of their homes. That, in turn, has now forced the closure of Thomasville Heights Elementary School because so many of its students lived in that complex. The ripple effects include families having to relocate and find new schools, and 50 teachers and staff members finding a new classroom next year.
Give us voice, give us choice.
Parents rally outside Price Middle School, calling for more communication from school officials. Years of built-up blight and neglect of the Forest Cove apartments led to Atlanta Municipal Court condemning the complex and shutting it down. More than 200 families will now have to relocate, and it's forced the closure of Thomasville Heights Elementary. Starting next year, 75% of students who attend Thomasville Heights live in Forest Cove. They'll have to attend another school next year, depending on where they move.
Nothing will save us. We don't have any power, so to say. That's why we out here. We need some policy. We need policy to protect the teachers and policy to protect the people, because the people need to be able to have a voice in change.
Bernard Arnold is PTA president at Slater Elementary, which will receive 60 Thomasville Heights students who don't live at Forest Cove. Purpose-Built Schools Atlanta, which manages Thomasville Heights and Slater, says a total of 50 teachers and staff will also lose their jobs in the merger.
Thomasville Heights will reopen. We're working really hard with all of the partners, all of the stakeholders in that community to make sure that Forest Cove gets rebuilt. And when Forest Cove is rebuilt, that school reopens.
But Slater parent Monique Nunnally says Forest Cove families traumatized by the past may not want to come back to that same community.
I have one family who had a rat in her baby's bassinet. Would you want to remember that? And you couldn't do anything about it? Gunshots coming into your home and telling your baby girl, we don't have anywhere to go. So the premise of a lot of this work is that they are coming back. But if you've been through this kind of trauma they have, would you?
A town hall is now set for next Tuesday at Slater Elementary. Parents are hoping to get more answers about Thomasville Heights closing and their next steps forward. In the meantime, the city of Atlanta is still working with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to relocate those Forest Cove families.
All right, Joe, thank you.
Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard to get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard to get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard and get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard and get money all day.
Yeah, I don't do drugs, but my guns, they be on the molly. They start acting buzz and start hitting everybody. I'm from where you gotta shoot out with every party, and everybody acting bug, everybody rowdy. And there's a thug in the heart of everybody. I know how to move the drugs, yo, they never found me. I'll be in everybody's hood, everybody count me. And when it's time to act a hood, they never start without me. Let me get some oxygen. You little bitches are filled with too much estrogen. We not with all the talk, all the chitter chatter. We with the click, clack, growl, everybody scatter. Yeah, better pay me like you pay the pastor. I'm the whole book, not a verse or a chapter. I'm beginning to the end, ain't nobody after. From BK all the way to
Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard to get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard and get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard and get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard and get money all day. I'm talking real rappers from the A, real trappers from the A, real grinders from the city, born and raised in the A. Real rappers from the A, real trappers from the A, real grinders from the city, born and raised in the A. Real rappers from the A, real trappers from the A, real grinders from the city, born and raised in the A. Real trappers from the A, real trappers from the A, real grinders from the city, born and raised in the A.
Real rapper from BK, real rapper from BK, all the way to the A. Real rapper from BK, Charlie Kane, past the flame, pistol whip him in the face. All the way from BK, all the way to the A. And if I said it, then I meant it. Do more than talk the talk. You know I walk the walk. From Brooklyn, East to York. Don't let these dogs bark. If they do, they have a harder bite. Pitbull lock when I'm in the booth and grab the mic.
Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard, and get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard, and get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard, and get money all day. Welcome to Atlanta, where them rappers and trappers don't play. All we know is eat, grind hard, and get money all day.